And she's set for you to start the meeting, and she'll catch up. She can watch the video recording to catch up with minutes if she needs to.
Okay. And again, and my apologies to everyone, the number for the right to know checklist is the one that I use to dial in, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for your patience. We're going to start the meeting now. This is the Town of Rollinsford Planning Board for a meeting for June 4th, June 2nd, 2020. As chair of the Rollinsford Planning Board, due to the COVID-19 coronavirus, and in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the Governor's Emergency Order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone, with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing the Google Hangouts platform for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through the Google Hangouts platform. The public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone number, which is 1-447-485-8859, PIN 185-407-107. Or by clicking on the following website address, https://meet.google.com/sfmn
That's where your link is wrong, John. If you want to look at current, what I have on my screen again. I'm sorry.
No, it's perfectly all right. I do not think I can read that, though.
That's okay. So I'll read it for you. The link to this meeting is meet.google.com/TFT-WVKE-IGP.
Thank you. B, providing public notice of the meeting of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of how to access the meeting using Google Hangouts, and instructions are provided on the town website at rollinsford.nh.us. C, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem, please call 534-1049 or email at admin@rollinsford.nh.us. During the meeting, if the public is unable to access the meeting, in the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at that time. Please note that all votes are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states they're present, also please state whether there's anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. Sarah, do you want to call attendance? If she's here.
Sure. Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. So John Hinsman, chair.
Yes, my wife Terry is in the room with me.
Glenn Chase, alternate. Glenn's not here. Richard Fogarty.
Yep, I'm here.
Carolyn Kendall, ex officio.
Here and alone.
Harry Knowles, alternate.
You're muted, so we can't hear you. He's getting help with that, I think. Yeah. Thank you, Denise. He's still muted. Okay. You might move on, Sarah, and then maybe we'll go back to Harry.
Okay, Kevin Haynes.
I'm here. I am alone.
And Caroline, you already said Sue Nastasi was going to be absent this evening.
Yes, she was absent tonight. Anyway. You're still muted. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna Denise, I'm gonna email you the phone number. So then you maybe can use a phone to dial in, and he can still look at the screen, but also use the phone for hearing and talking. Okay.
He's done. He's all set.
Ah, awesome. Thank you.
All right.
So Harry Knowles, alternate.
I'm here, and my wife Denise is in the room.
Okay, thank you. And that is attendance done.
All right, so I believe that the first item on the agenda is the continued public meeting for the S.J. Cantwell Greenview Drive plan. And so we have the letter from Michelle Mears, and Michelle is not going to be calling in. Is that correct, Caroline?
That is correct. We have Tom typically for meetings. So Tom attended the technical review committee meeting with the engineer and the department heads and the applicant, and he could give a summary of that meeting and the revisions provided by the applicant.
Okay. Tom, if you'd be so kind to do that, that'd be helpful.
Yes, certainly, Mr. Chair. Thank you. I think the best thing to do is kind of summarize where we were, where we are now. Since the last planning board meeting, Michelle Mears sent a memo, and all this stuff is on the drive, but Michelle Mears sent a memo with her review. Then 5/19, Jay Stevens, our peer reviewer at Civil Consultants, did a memo, sent it to Mr. Cantwell and Mr. Lawler. May 27th, we received responses from Norway Plains to both Jay's and Michelle's memos. Then we had a TRC meeting on Thursday. The minutes of that meeting were sent to you via email, and all the attendees are listed on that, so I won't read down a list. And let me see here a minute. Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to unplug that thing. But anyway, sorry. So then we received a response to all that stuff. And then Michelle wrote a response. So the bottom line is, if you read the memo from Civil Consultants, I have it on another screen here, dated May 28th. It pretty much summarizes that all the issues that were discussed at the planning board meeting, the issues that were brought up by Michelle Mears, the issues brought up by Jay Stevens, and the rest of the attendees at the technical review committee meeting. The result is that with a few issues outstanding, relatively minor, we still need a letter from the Water Sewer Division. There was inadequate cover on the driveway, so that there was going to be a note changed that will be the 3 feet as required by our regulations. And finally, Mr. Campbell wasn't sure if he was going to put a gate. So Jay Stevens just makes a recommendation that if the planning board makes a note, a planning board requests a note on the bottom saying that if he does do a gate, that it will be on his property, out of the public right of way, and accessible by fire and police departments. And I think if you want any, details, all the stuff is on the drive, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Tom, I'm wondering if you can briefly, were there a couple of notes that Jay Stevens has that are outstanding? You know, was the water sewer district the only potential loose end, or I think there were a couple of other little notes?
Yeah, the little ones were the inadequate cover on the plans for the driveway culvert, which Scott said he was going to change. Scott Law, the engineer for Cantwell, is going to change to comply with our regulations. And the other small memo was the gate installation requirement, that if he was going to put a gate in, it had to be on his property, out of the right of way, and accessible by fire and police.
Okay.
All right, so Tom, just so I understand it, are the outstanding issues
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I give you
Go ahead.
Okay, I can give you the conclusion from Jay's report that it is our opinion that if the plans are further modified to address the items noted above, the site plan set will be in conformance with the intent of the town regulations.
Okay. So he said that if the site plan is modified, when you say it's to the above, meaning his May 28, 2020 letter?
Correct.
Okay. All right. And as of right now, has the applicant agreed to do so or not?
Yes, he has.
Okay. All right. So perhaps it would be appropriate to ask members of the board, Caroline, if they have any questions.
I think
Tom?
that appropriate, but I would also suggest, I'm not sure if we have voted the application complete yet. And if that didn't happen at the last meeting, that maybe should happen soon.
Okay. So would someone like to make a motion that the application is complete?
Kevin Haynes will make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Harry,
I thought I heard a second.
Did somebody second that?
yeah,
Yeah.
Harry Knowles.
Caroline seconded it. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So I believe we have to do a roll call vote even on things like this. So
Yes.
Kevin Haynes, are you voting in favor or against the motion finding the application complete?
I am voting in favor, Chairman.
All right. And Mr. Fogarty, are you voting in favor or against the motion to find the application complete?
I am voting in favor of, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Mr. Knowles, are you voting in favor or against the application being complete?
In favor, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you. Again, not be able to see everyone. That is everyone here that is here tonight. Is that right, Caroline? Member-wise?
I'm sorry, I wasn't able to hear you, John, about the membership. We do have 5 members.
I've identified all the members that are here tonight, right? There's just 4 of us?
Well, the exception of myself and yourself.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Everybody else has voted.
And so Caroline, what is your position on the? You're a
I would vote
non-voting
in
member, right?
favor. Yes, I
Okay,
would
you're
vote
in
in favor of finding it complete.
All right, so it's, the ayes have it. Okay, the application's complete. Now, might be appropriate to ask members of the board if they have any questions for Tom or the applicant's representative.
I have a question,
Sure, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman. It's in regard to the general and subsequent. Number 1 says lot pins are to be set, and a letter stating such submitted to the town of Rollinsford. What exactly is a lot pin?
I'm sorry, what's that question?
What exactly is a lot pin? LOT pin.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it's a granite marker, boundary marker that shows that would indicate the corners of the property.
Okay. Physically stuck right into the ground.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
I have a
All
question.
right,
Tom,
please go ahead.
you said you haven't got a toll the water department yet? Was there any talk about putting a fire hydrant in that, inside his gated area for that structure and his vehicles?
No, Harry, there wasn't. I mean, it's a great idea, but no, nobody mentioned it.
Is it more than 1,000 feet from that other hydrant?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions of the board? Hearing none, I think it might be appropriate to ask.
I've got a question. I'm in the public, so.
Sure. So I was going to say, Carol, I think it'd be appropriate to open this up for public comment at this point.
Yeah.
All right.
I've got a,
Please.
all right, I've got a couple of questions. I'd like to have some kind of a reassurance from Mr. Cantwell. I mean, I know he's told me that the problems will be taken care of, but I wanted some reassurance that next year, you know, when the site work's all done and the spring rains come, that I'm not going to have the problems I've had in the past, water problems coming from this property. I don't want to have to go, you know, I want some kind of a reassurance that I'm not going to have to be out on my own trying to solve this problem. So am I going to be able to go back to him and get this taken care of if the site work's not done right or something?
All right. And I'm going to recognize Tom, but before I do that, Sarah, do I need to, for the record, have Mr. Kuchar, though we know who he is, state his name and address for the record?
Yeah, any member of the public who wants to speak need to give me their full name and their address, please.
All right. So, Mr. Kuchar, if you don't mind, if you just do that first, and then I'm going to recognize Mr. Clark.
Yeah, my full name is Mark Kuchar. My address is 204 Summersworth Road, Rollinsford.
All right, thank you. And Tom, please, or Mr. Clark, please comment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Kuchar, one of the avenues of enforcement would be if there were an issue, and we all know this issue was brought up and discussed, and we heard Mr. Cantwell's response. So there's no question that is part of the approval, so that if there were an issue, then you would just contact the town of Rollinsford. You wouldn't have to go to Mr. Cantwell directly. You could just contact us, and we would do any enforcement action that was appropriate.
Okay, yeah. I've got one more question. As far as the road, now we're going to have, now we've got three owners of property back there that are using the road. The road is not, I believe, is not town approved. So who maintains the road?
Right now, the road is under the ownership of Mr. Wentworth, and he still has to maintain it until such time as the town accepts it.
Yeah, I don't believe he owns the road. I think the town still owns that property.
I'm fairly certain the right of way leading up to that oil refinery, I mean, the oil recycling, it's a private right of way and it's owned and maintained by Mr. Wentworth.
That was always a town road. That was always the Indigo Hill Road. It's been there since colonial days. It was a class 6 road that he brought up to standards.
If I can recognize Caroline Kendall, she may have some information on this.
Thank you. I believe Mr. Kuchar is correct that it was a Class 6 road. And so now we have a Class 6 road that was improved by a private property owner. So the private property, a Class 6 road cannot be maintained by the town. So in essence, I believe the approval of the road by the town, when that happens, will, the town authorized the private property owner to upgrade the Class 6 road to a Class 5 or better road, it would seem. So I was not involved in that process at the time. So it's kind of, I think, a legal strange area where, the land underneath, was at one point a town right-of-way as a Class 6 road, which is separate from ownership. A road right-of-way and whether or not the land underneath it is owned by the town or a private party are rather separate issues. So,
So to clarify, it was my understanding, though, as part of the approval of the oil recycling facility, that irrespective of ownership, and I stand corrected, part of the approval was that Mr. Wentworth maintains that road until such time as the town accepts it.
yes, and that was, yes, that's where I was going with this, is that was
Okay.
the history of it, and Mark understands, Mr. Kuchar, I think, understands the history of it correctly, but because we're kind of in this in-between place where it hasn't yet been accepted by the town, but it has been upgraded, it has to be plowed, but it's not the town's responsibility to plow it yet because it hasn't been taken over by the town.
So whoever maintains it has an agreement amongst whoever starts using the road is going to have to ante up to Mark Wentworth.
Well, it's really for, Mr. Wentworth to maintain, and then other property owners who are on the road, if they take issue with the level of maintenance, they would have to take that up with Mr. Wentworth. If he wants to try to get those property owners to contribute to the maintenance in some way, that would be a private agreement that we don't really have anything to do with. I believe the intent is still to finish the road project. It requires it requires a top coat and then propose that the town approve it. So I don't believe that it will be a long-standing issue, but nonetheless, it's rather a private situation at this point under the responsibility of Mr. Wentworth.
And now Mr. Wentworth has sold the oil plant. So is the new owner responsible for the road, or is Mark Wentworth responsible for the road?
I would say the agreement still stands between the town and Mr. Wentworth. I don't believe the sale, the new owner acquired the responsibility of maintaining the road.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like there's a lot of loose ends on the road issue.
I guess I don't see the same thing, Mr. Kuchar. It's, there are avenues that we can take if necessary, and I don't think there have been issues up till this point in time. And Mr. Wentworth still owns the storage facility. So I guess certainly there's a potential for an issue, but if there were, I think we have avenues of enforcement.
All right. it just seems like an issue to me, because on other you've allowed, I think, two houses on a private road, and now you're going, now you can subdivide more lots. I mean, you got a potential of having dozens of businesses on this road, on a private road.
Well, I think we're getting off topic, but I think if the land supports the frontage and the area and meets the regulations for site review and subdivision, there could be others. I don't think there'd be dozens certainly, but there could be other commercial uses.
Right, but it's still a private road.
Yes, at this point, yes.
I just don't want to see the town and the taxpayers getting stuck with a bill of upgrading the road.
You know, sir, I don't blame you, and I don't think that will happen.
Right.
Mr. Kuchar, the road has to be accepted by the town at an annual meeting for it to become a town road, and the town would ensure that it was finished according to the plan of the original subdivision. So it certainly wouldn't be approved when it was not in a condition appropriate for the town to approve it.
That's all I've got.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's back to you.
I'm sorry, I forgot to take myself off mute. Are there any other members of the public who would like to comment on this matter tonight? I'm not hearing anyone. Does the applicant wish to make any comments before we enter a vote?
This is Steve Cantwell.
Hi, Steve.
Hello. I've reviewed all the plans. I've reviewed all changes. I agree with everything that is necessary. And I know there's some stuff going on with the water and sewer department, and we will gladly meet with them once everything is settled and work out whatever materials they require for us to complete the project. And other than that, everything will be built per plan, all by GPS equipment and exactly what Scott designed.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm just going to remind you to close the public hearing portion of the meeting, if you would.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the reminder. All right. We're going to close the public meeting portion of the meeting, and I think we're in a position to vote to approve or not the application. And Tom, if you don't mind me asking, the specific vote would be to approve the application as modified by the civil consultant's May 28, 2020 memo, and is further either modified or extended by Michelle Mears's memo, or just the May 28th memo?
I did read Michelle's, and I think just the May 28th memo from civil consultants would be sufficient, Mr. Chairman.
All right. So would someone like to make a motion to approve the application as modified?
Kevin Haynes will make that motion.
All right. and I need to finish my, thank you, Kevin, as modified by the civil consultant's May 28, 2020 memo. All right, is there a second?
I'll second that. Richard Fogarty will second that.
All right, thank you. All right, again, I need to do a roll call vote. I will start with Mr. Haynes. Are you for or against approval?
I am for approval, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Mr. Fogarty, are you for or against approval?
I am for the approval, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Knowles, are you for or against approval?
I am for, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Caroline Kendall, are you for or against approval?
I am for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And I am also for approval. So it's unanimous. All right. So thank you, Mr. Cantwell and his representative, and also Mr. Kuchar and the members of the board. Is there anything we need to tell them, Tom or Caroline, before we let them go?
Yes, I believe the engineer is familiar with this, but we need a final set of plans. I think 2 hard copies, one of which, well, both of which need to get stamped and signed by you, Mr. Chairman. And then one is for the town and one would be for the applicant.
Okay, great. Fantastic. All right, so we can include this part of the meeting in regard to this project. Is that, so thank you everyone in regard who's there just for this meeting for attending this. And I think we'll move on to the next item of agenda, which is approval of the meeting minutes of the last meeting. Is that right, Sarah?
Yes.
All the business for the.
Yeah, no, approval of minutes from May 5th.
Okay, all right. So does anyone have any comments or corrections, any board members to the minutes? I'm not hearing anyone. Okay, all right. So does someone want to make a motion to approve the minutes of May 6th, 2020?
Kevin Haynes will make that motion.
All right. And is there a second?
Richard Fogarty will second that motion.
All right. I'll also again do a roll call vote. Kevin Haynes, are you in favor of, are you for or against approval of the May 6, 2020 minutes?
I am for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Fogarty, are you for or against the approval of the May 6, 2020 minutes?
I am for that approval, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Knowles, are you in favor or against the approval of the May 6, 2020 minutes?
I am in favor, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Caroline, are you in favor or against the approval of the May 6, 2020 minutes?
I am in favor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. And I am also, so it carries unanimously. I don't think that there is any other, there's no correspondence that we have to deal with, is there, Sarah?
You'd have to ask Caroline. I don't see correspondence.
I'm sorry.
It's quite all right. No, there's no correspondence for the agenda tonight. There is one little matter of the FIPS plan, which requires your signature, Mr. Chairman.
I know.
And okay, I just want to make sure that everybody knows what's going on about that, because I know that we've had some email exchanges about it, but I don't know where that was left, about whether the plans were located and you know how to access them.
Whether, I need to go to town hall to sign those plans, right?
Yes, I would think so. So we need to arrange for that is all.
Okay, all right. If I can email you offline, I think I can do that. Not tomorrow, but Thursday, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, great. All right. Do we need to set the next planning board meeting or not? Because this is going to be the first Tuesday of the next month.
I think Mr. Clark had something to say. I don't know. If he had a comment.
About the next meeting, it'd be July 7th, I believe.
Yes, I thought you
Okay.
had something to say about something else. I'm sorry. You had raised your hand briefly. That's all. Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Just saying hi.
Okay, so yes, Mr. Chairman, the next meeting is scheduled for July 7th. So that would be the regular time.
Okay, all right. Would someone like, so I think that concludes our business for tonight. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Actually, could I make a quick comment before you leave?
Absolutely.
Okay, I just only take about 2 minutes, so bear with me, please. My name is
Oh, you
Richard
need to
Perrin.
identify your, right, please identify yourself. Sure. And
My name is
state
Richard.
your address, please.
Okay, I am Richard Perrin, Perrin. I am not a resident, but I had many cousins that lived in town over the years and have many relatives in the cemetery, so I am kind of a cousin. I'm a partnership specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau. And it's my job to go through some of these meetings and just let you folks know that your census is going along very, very well. Rollinsford is about 60% response rate, but also to remind people that the census is still going, and any kind of help information that you could send out would only raise the rate and thusly help your funding that would be coming from the government.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
And if you would like, I can send some information to your email. I'm planning to attend the board meeting, the Board of Selectmen meeting on Monday, June 15th, and do the same with them. But if you can check with them, or I can send you some individual information about the census if you'd like.
Thank you, but this is Caroline Kendall, the town administrator, and I'll just speak on behalf of myself and not the full board, but I have materials. Before the pandemic hit, I had a meeting with a representative from the census and had quite a lot of paper materials that I went through. Recently, our tax bills went out with a newsletter that included information about completing the census. We certainly
Thank you very
recognize
much.
the value. Well, thank you for following up, because we do recognize that it is important.
That's basically what I'm doing now, is just following up. I'm taking the meetings in town and just taking a minute and, just stick my nose in more than anything else. And I very much appreciate the time. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
By the way, I like the orange scarf.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Fogarty here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fogarty. Would someone like to make a second?
Kevin Haines will second that, Mr.
All right.
Chairman.
Thank you. We'll do a roll call vote again. Mr. Haynes, are you in favor of adjourning?
I am in favor, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Fogarty, are you in favor of adjourning?
I am in favor, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Knowles, are you in favor of adjourning?
Yes, I am, sir.
Caroline, are you in favor of adjourning?
In favor, sir.
All right. Well, thank you all very much tonight. I'm sorry for the initial technical difficulties on my end, but thank you everyone for your continued patience and service on the board.
Thank you,
Let's
Mr.
stay
Chairman.
safe.
Thank you very
Have a
much.
good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
That was one of the worst meetings I've ever had.
Was it because? Where are we?